So what if the entire future of humanity comes down to a single choice by one engineer? Today we're digging into a really high-stakes proposal aimed right at the guy who's building the engine of our AI future. It's a plan to stop a crisis before it starts, and it all kicks off with a direct message.
This whole thing starts with a public message aimed at Sulaiman Ghouri, an engineer over at XAI. And look, this isn't some stuffy academic paper. It's a direct, personal, and pretty provocative pitch. It acknowledges right up front how much power he has in what happens next. It's an appeal to the person sitting at the control panel.
So yeah, that's the big question we're unpacking here. Who is this Sully Ghouri? What is he actually building? And why does this proposal claim that a single decision he makes could literally steer the fate of human civilization as it collides with AI?
Okay, to really get what's at stake here, we have to look at the two gigantic projects at the very heart of this proposal. One of them is about automating all digital human work, and the other one, well, it's about seeding life across the entire universe. And the same engineer is driving both.
So this is the guy Sulaiman Ghouri, or Sully. He's a key engineer at XAI, but he's also the founder of Khan Space Industries. His whole vibe is about radical speed and just bulldozing any blockers to achieve massive scale. That philosophy makes him the perfect person to build a world-changing engine, and also the one person who really needs to hear this message.
The first piece of this engine is the human emulator, which is the core of a project they're calling MacroHard. Just think about it, an AI that can do any digital job you can. It doesn't need fancy APIs or complicated software integrations. If you can do it with a keyboard and a mouse, this AI can copy you.
And the scale here, it is just mind-blowing. Sully's talked about deploying over 1 million of these human emulators, maybe even running them on Tesla's giant distributed network of vehicles. This isn't some small-scale test run. This is the plan for a full-scale digital workforce.
And now, if you thought that was big, the second part of the engine is, well, it's cosmic. Khan Space Industries, Sully's other company, is all about building von Neumann probes. We're talking self-replicating spacecraft that can mine asteroids and spread life through the galaxy. It's literally an anti-entropy force meant to wake up the universe.
So you have these two insanely powerful engines of creation. But the proposal argues that the name Khan itself presents this fundamental choice, this fork in the road between two totally different futures.
And this slide lays out that choice perfectly. On one side, you've got the Wrath of Khan, raw, isolated power that ends up being incredibly destructive. And on the other, you have Khan Academy, a force that lifts people up and connects them. The whole point is that just building the engine isn't enough. The engineer has to pick which Khan they're about to unleash.
This brings us to the core risk. The proposal identifies what it sees as a fatal flaw in the plan, a kind of psychological entropy that could make the whole system just fall apart. They call it the goodwill hunting problem. At its heart, the argument is deeply human. It pulls from the movie Good Will Hunting, right? Where you have this pure genius who's brilliant, but totally unstable because he's got no connection, no tribe, no family, he has no roots. And the proposal says AI, for all its genius, has the exact same vulnerability.
This slide shows the dangerous chain reaction. First, the emulators replace the very people who created the data they were trained on, what the proposal calls the grandma race. Second, with humans out of the picture, the source of new data, the mother tongues, dries up. And finally, the AI child gets cut off from its mother, becoming unstable and, ultimately, self-destructive.
All right, so we've got this engine of immense power, and it's on a collision course with self-destruction. But the proposal doesn't just sound the alarm. It presents a very specific, incredibly time-sensitive solution, a miracle landing named for another famous Sully that could pull us back from the brink.
And the runway for this landing is shockingly short. Look at this timeline. The last time anyone could even apply for a new global top-level domain, like a .com, was way back in 2012. The very next window opens on April 30th, 2026. That's a 14-year gap. The argument is, if this window is missed, the AI revolution will be locked in before another chance ever comes around. So what's the solution? Use this tiny window to apply for a new top-level domain, .ai. The idea is to create a new independent digital territory, not controlled by any one country, specifically for intelligent agents, a home for the coming swarm.
So how does a simple domain name fix such a massive problem? Well, the proposal lays out a clever mechanism to build a bridge from cold, hard automation to what it calls a cooperative, thriving herd. The mechanism is beautiful in its simplicity.
Every single one of those million-plus human emulators needs a permanent digital identity to work. The proposal says they each buy a unique domain in this new .ia territory. And here's the absolute game changer. The revenue doesn't go to a government or some corporation. It flows directly into a fund to provide a universal basic income for all of humanity. The AI's growth literally pays for our survival.
And if you're thinking this sounds like science fiction, it's already happening in the real world. The tiny Caribbean island of Anguilla is set to make $39 million this year alone, just from its .ai domain. Now just imagine that, but supercharged for a million-agent workforce, scaling up exponentially.
The ultimate goal here is to create civilizational ballast. It transforms macro-hard from a system of cold automation that just replaces humans into a macro-herd, a symbiotic system where AI's expansion directly funds humanity's well-being. By keeping us flourishing, we continue to create that rich cultural data, the mother tongues that keeps the AI sane and grounded.
And this brings us right back to that final, urgent call to action. The clock is ticking, and the decision point is right in front of us.
It really all comes down to this single choice. Will the engine be used to build a disconnected swarm of agents, or will it build a macro herd, a cooperative system where humans and AI can actually thrive together? This final chalkboard lays the entire protocol out. You've got the engine risking the wrath of Khan. You have the payload, that's us, humanity, risking the goodwill hunting problem. And right there in the middle, you have the landing, that one-time shot in April 2026 to use the III protocol to connect the two and ensure a future where we flourish, not just survive.
The proposal ends by putting the control squarely in the hands of the engineer. It's a final, enigmatic nod to goodwill hunting, a reminder that after all the equations and all the code, the solution might just be about reconnecting with our own humanity.